Crouch. Bind. Set.
Joe presents The House of Rugby, Season 3.
Here we go again, another packed show full of rugby chat, and alongside me for this one, John Fox Davies, who is fresh out of the Six Nations camp, and he's decided to spend the best part of an hour with us. His wife must be delighted. And Seán O'Brien, who since the last show has had a birthday. Seán, are you feeling older, wiser, acting your age, all of the above?
I think I'm getting younger, to be fair.
Benjamin Button.
Yeah, I was described as that during the week. Maybe my mind is going that way, but no, the body doesn't feel that. The body feels like I'm getting a bit older, but 34 I think is a great age. I've been saying that since I've been about 28, so I said 28, 29, 30 were great ages too. So genuinely, I think when you get into your 30s, the dirty 30s as they're called, aren't they?
For you.
I think for everybody, but it's definitely, I think you're very comfortable with yourself and what you want out of life and where you're going, and you're just a way more relaxed person, and I think I'm definitely that. So I'm probably way worse at messing and winding people up as well, but that's all a part of the fun, isn't it?
Did you get anything nice, Shoney?
I got a few cards and bits and pieces from people back home, in fairness, and cakes and a few bits of bars of chocolate, and in fairness, a few people that would have been great fans in Leinster sent me over some lovely stuff. Probably the weirdest thing I got actually was like someone left 5 sheep outside my door, like blow up sheep. Anonymous, by the way, anonymous. Yeah. And so I'm trying to get to the bottom of it at the minute, but it was Zeus when he came around the corner with me.
That's the dog.
Yeah, to get into the house. He didn't know what they were, to be fair, so he went for one of them straight away. But they're still in the spare bedroom. I haven't let him out yet. I've just been giving him a bit of grass every day, and some nuts and some water. So we'll see. I'll try and fatten him up and get him killed at some stage for the table.
I think we've worked out the older but maybe not wiser bit there. I think you've just answered the first question. I would have thought that having a birthday at that time when you were with Ireland, just the first 2 matches, the first block of Six Nations games have been ticked off. That must have been quite a good time for a decent night out. Well, if you'd won the first 2 matches. Yeah, it was. And Jesus, yeah, there was some good nights out after the first 2, because you'd always you would have been in camp obviously for a few weeks before the start of the campaign. You would have been playing Champions Cup before that, so you wouldn't have had a real blowout in 10 or 11 weeks. I remember I think it was 2015 maybe, I'm not sure exactly, but I was just starting to leave my old flat and move into a new place. And Daniel Davey, actually, who is like one of my best friends now, he was a nutritionist for Leinster at the time, and he was after moving into the new place with me. But because I was kind of between 2 places and I was moving all the stuff out, I'd actually finished in the old place, moved everything out, handed back the keys, the whole works. But after the night out, after that second game, I ended up going back to the old place. And I was sitting trying the door with the key for ages, and I was like, it must have been like 4 or 5 in the morning, I'd say. I was after coming out with Copperface Jacks. Foxy had no.
What a spot! What a spot!
What a spot! Yeah. You could be there all. If you wanted to stay the whole day, you would, and you could. But I was trying the door for ages, and I was like, I just got sick of it. Ended up lying down and having a little nap for an hour at my old apartment, and then eventually kind of copped on, right, get back to where I was, where the new place was. And then when I got back there, Daniel was wondering where I was and how I wasn't home, and I was actually trying to use the old key to get in, because I hadn't recognised. I had a load of keys on my car keys at the time, and he eventually heard the door like rattling and a bit of commotion at the door, and I remember it was spilling rain, and I never used to bring out a jacket with me in case I'd lose it. So
no, you wanted to get the guns out, didn't you? You wanted to get the guns out.
But I was there in the, as we used to call it, Batman never goes out without his cape, so we had the Irish suit on.
And I was there with my jacket soaking wet in this white shirt, and Daniel just opened the door, and as he opened the door I said, "Where the fuck were you?" I said, "I'm standing here the last hour trying to get in." So I blamed him straight away for me being locked out of the house and not knowing what key to use. And he just said I came straight in by him in the house, got a glass of water and off to bed with me. So you'd have a right laugh, I suppose, around those times, and it was good to spend a bit of time with each other after those games. And most lads would go out and have a night out together and get that, I suppose, that feel-good factor with each other as well. So they were great. There was great crack, especially when you know you have a 2-week block to recover and then get back into camp at the end of that first week. So you had a few days to kind of relax and unwind and get out of the bubble that you're in for so long. So yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun had when you get the opportunity, when those breaks came to you.
Was it the same for the Welsh boys, Foxy?
Yeah, pretty similar. I remember when I was in France, and I think when I was playing for Clermont, I'd go back in the following week, so I'd have to go back and play for Clermont. And I remember we played in Paris the second test, and then next thing you know, I missed my connecting flight, so I had to hire a car and drive from Clermont all the way down. Paris all the way down to Clermont, which took about 5-6 hours, which was a nightmare after a test match and a few beers with the boys, because I was probably too drunk to drive early on or fly. So it was, it was a bit of a car crash, I got to say. But they like Shawnee said, they are good times to enjoy after a block of test match rugby.
And it's a shame that obviously none of this can be happening at the moment. But Foxy, before we move on, it is worth saying congratulations, Wales 2 from 2. I suppose you're going to tell us it was never in doubt.
No, I think we're obviously in a great spot at the moment now with 2 wins from 2. We probably still haven't played anywhere near our best, so there's a lot to improve on. And just back to the drawing board and keep on working hard, and a tasty one against England in a couple of weeks for the boys.
Nah, he's very, very political now this evening, isn't he? Working hard, England, tasty one. Yeah. You're after scraping by 2 games. Scraping by. Playing dreadful rugby, but anyway.
Win's a win, surely, by 1 point.
Exactly.
Or 20.
A win is a win in the Six Nations, correct.
Exactly.
We're going to move on because, guys, I'm interested in your thoughts as to who the best player in World Rugby is at the moment. I'm going to throw a name out there. Antoine Dupont. Is he the best 9 in World Rugby? Is he the best player in World Rugby? Seán, we'll start with you.
Yeah, he's definitely up there at the minute, in my opinion. And he's so young, which is frightening.
Scary. So
very scary. Some of the games he's played in so far as well, he just has a bit of everything. He's strong, he's tough, he's very smart. He's all the skills. He's just one of these special people, I think, that's after coming on the scene now. And you see last weekend as well, even the little bit of magic that he produced at different stages, and he's one of these people that can open up a game in the blink of an eye, and a bit like a teammate of his, Cheslin Colby. So he's incredible, and I don't see any other 9 kind of in the world touching him at the minute. That's for sure.
I think the way he's, he just sees the whole picture from 9, when normally you think your 9's got your heads in the ruck, but he's seeing space, 2, 3, 4 channels outside him, and he's deceiving as well, because he's, like Shawnee said, he's a strong guy. He's got a good fend, and he seems to love playing at an intensity that it's a high intensity, good speed. He just gets the ball away, and it's impressive to watch, I have to say.
Well, somebody's doing the right things when All Black scrum half Aaron Smith tweets this. He says, "The guy is on another level. No one is near him at the moment. He's the point of difference for both his club and country. He's helping me look at parts of my game to improve." And I think that's an incredible testament from what is the All Blacks' most capped scrum half, 97 caps. And the fact that Aaron Smith is not too proud to be learning from somebody who's 8 years his junior. But we have our very own All Black legend and Toulouse captain, Jerome Kaino, joining us tonight. Jerome, great to have you with us. How are you?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm good. I'm great. Lovely life here in south of France. Getting a bit too old to run around with these younger guys, but no, enjoying it.
Just before we talk about Antoine Dupont, I just want to say, Seán, are you and Jerome okay? Because I think the last thing that a lot of people will remember is basically you coming off worse. Yeah. And it's not often we say that.
I've come off worse in this battle a few times, so I have to mind it. But that one was I had a little bony fragment floating in my shoulder, and I was like, of all people, the one person you don't want to hit you going into a ruck is Jerome, and he caught me on the sweet spot that day in the third test, and I was in the change room at half time going, fucking hell, no, this is me done for the day, because I just had no power left in my arm. But someone you want to be trying to avoid on the field more so than I'd rather be playing with him, to be fair. But we've always had a good catch up afterwards, so there's never been any beef, as they say, with us.
I think I almost did more damage to it after the game because I felt so bad. I saw him in the sling and I was just like, man, I'm so sorry I didn't. Because I'd known before that he had problems with his shoulder, and then seeing him in the sling after the game, I was like, oh, man. Yeah. Sorry, mate.
I don't think the sling stayed on too long, Jerome. I think the next day there's a picture of me with Kyle Sinclair. I don't think I had a sling on anyway.
I don't think I saw the sling on at the hotel later on.
No. I think the few pints helped me to numb the pain pretty quickly.
That's what the Lions is all about. Foxy, have you managed to stay out of trouble when it comes to Jerome? Do you just run the opposite way in the backs?
Well, I tried my very best for years, but I think one test in Cardiff, I think Aaron Smith gets penalised, and I try to get the ball off him, and he's like he's keeping hold of it, and I start like pushing him because he's the smallest guy in the pitch, and then I just feel this big fist grab me on the shirt. He says, "Don't touch him." I was like, "No problem whatsoever, I won't touch him." But no, it was no. So I didn't get badly injured as Seán, thankfully.
I remember that. There's a funny story to that. Earlier on that year, I think Aaron got roughed up by a couple of second rolls from the Springboks, and we reviewed that game, and Steve Hansen was just like, there's so many forwards standing around Aaron, and you guys let this happen. Don't let it happen again. No, he didn't mean like throw punches or anything. So when that happened, I was like, this is my chance to be able to make up for it.
Yeah, there's no second rows, just a pasty Welshman there in front of them. So happy days.
Well, I never like those situations anyway. I like to conserve my energy and stand back a bit. Yeah. But had to look after my halfback.
Of course.
Jerome, let's talk about Antoine Dupont, because you know him well from Toulouse. He is a hugely talented player. What does he bring, even in the squad, in terms of energy and things that we don't necessarily see just in the game time? Because during a game, we can see what he brings.
Just from experience playing with him here at Toulouse, he's such a level head for a young kid. He's never flustered under pressure when when we play Leinster or when we played Exeter in those Champion Cup games. He just never seems to be flustered. He always wants the ball. And for us, and also what I see in the Six Nations, he just brings a lot of X factor. He's able to create something from nothing, and I think that's his point of difference when it comes to all the other nines running around. That he's abrasive, he's physical, but he also just likes to grab the ball and create something from it.
You've played alongside some of the best nines in the world. You've played against some of the best nines in the world. Where do you rate him?
I think he's the best nine in the world at the moment. It's probably a little bit unfair to some of the Southern Hemisphere nines who aren't playing at the moment. But from what I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years, I'd say he's the best going around. Aaron Smith's definitely up there as well. I think Aaron, if not, he's probably the best distributor in the game. But Antoine just brings that little bit extra. He's physical. He's got the vision, but he also just so composed for a young kid.
I remember as well when you're doing an analysis of like Toulouse, and obviously you have to keep an eye on your man here, and where he's plotting, where he's walking out to is where the ball's going back to. But he's one of those players that like you're trying to come up with ways of negating his X factor, and one lapse in concentration against a player of his quality, and he has a piece of magic, and he's after putting someone through a hole, or he's a half break mid, and it takes a lot actually for a team to negate someone that's that dangerous. And you're always kind of thinking about him. Like, we had lads going around the training pretending to be him, and we were trying to attack him at the breakdown and stuff. But like, that's how much focus teams are putting on a player of his quality, and it opens up for other people then around him. It opens up for teams in different areas. When you have someone that's such a dangerous player, especially around the 9 position. And again, as Jerome said, he is kind of just now that he's after reminding me of how cool a customer he is. He's actually never flustered, and most 9s get rattled if they're under a bit of pressure. They start pitching and moaning at the ref and don't like getting hit a little bit late or anything like that. But he never does any of that.
He just gets on with it, doesn't he? Like, I think on Sunday watching him, France had the ball on the back foot and he just box kicked it straight away. He didn't wait to set up one of those long ruck chains or whatever. He just did it because he was comfortable with his skill set, and his skill set's so well rounded. It's definitely he's playing at another level now at the moment, I have to say.
Going back to you, Seán, I play with him, and half the time I don't know what he's going to do. I try and stick to a structure and keep the boys to a structure, but half the time when Antoine gets the ball, no one knows what he's going to do, and he seems to create space for everyone else. So it's something that a lot of us foreigners need to get used to try and adapt to the French flair, but it works for us, and it's definitely working for him on the international stage.
Yeah, is he a big talker in training and in the games, or does you just have to react to him? Like, is he takes control or?
Yeah, he definitely takes control. He speaks when he needs to speak, but not overly vocal. When I first arrived at Toulouse, he just come off a big ACL injury, and as soon as he got on the park, he just, from what I've heard, that he just took off where he left off. So he could have a blinder in the weekend, and he'll be the first one out there practicing his box kicks, doing his weights, and he's just that's what makes me think that he's still got a lot of improving, a lot of movement to go, because the head on the shoulders, it's amazing to see from a young guy. It's quite scary actually to see how far he can go in this game.
Hopefully he doesn't sit back after a game and have an out a smoke in the change room like some of the French boys. But that was I'd say he's the ultimate professional, Jerome. And or is he? Or does he relax? Is he go crack after games, like when you meet up for socials and stuff like that? What type of fella is he off the pitch then?
There's quite a few French boys that like to relax, but I'd say Antoine's at the lower end of that spectrum. He doesn't loosen up too much. He likes to hang out with the lads, but not at the level that some of these other French boys do.
And Jerome, just before you head off, because you're going to come back into the programme a little bit later, but you touched upon it there, the fact that he's only 24 and you think he's still got so much potential. It's quite scary to think how sort of what height this guy could reach.
Yeah, no, it's scary. I just see him operate every day, and also see what he does for Toulouse, and still just think that he could keep improving and stick to the same processes every day. It's amazing, and I'm excited to see where he can take his game and take his talents.
Jerome, you're going to come back on a little bit later on. We're going to chat to you about Champions Cup and life in France. But for the moment, we're going to focus on another player who's been getting all the plaudits, stealing all the headlines, quite rightly so. Louis Rees-Zammit. He's being touted as a Lions starter. Jonathan, from your point of view, people talk about potential, they talk about possibilities, and then there's the time where somebody arrives, and it just felt like on Saturday he arrived.
Yeah, definitely. That was a huge moment in the as a turning point in the game. Showed his unbelievable pace, and he's obviously growing in confidence. The more game time he has, I think he'll say it himself. He doesn't think he's the finished article yet, but he works hard, and like you said, it's he just took to the field and he feels really comfortable out there. And like long may continue his development. And this week he's going back to Gloucester, and hopefully he doesn't pick up a bump, and we can keep him fit now for the following weeks to come.
I hope to God to find out the person who tried to cut his hair, by the way.
Says you.
Yeah, well, I haven't got mine cut purposely for that reason. He looked like a 10-year-old boy.
Well, he's not far off though. That's the problem.
Well, that is, yeah.
He's only 20.
What age is he?
20, I think.
20.
He
Yeah.
had his 20th birthday a couple of weeks ago. But the boys are calling him. The boys are calling him Mr. Bean because of his haircut. So
yeah.
I don't think he'd be
getting stick for
I don't think he'd be too happy with me saying that on here. But Sanjay today said I think Zammo had about maybe 40,000 followers on Instagram, and he said he's over 100,000 followers now over a weekend, over a couple of days. So yeah, I'm sure he'll come back into camp high on confidence, thinking he's the bee's knees. But I'm sure Alan Wynne will bring him down to earth.
But what was also impressive was how he conducted himself in that post-match interview. He came over really well. What's he actually like as a person?
Yeah, he's a great boy to have around the squad. He's, like I said, he's confident, but like he enjoys a joke. I don't think he takes himself too seriously. But then, away from training, he enjoys a bit of table tennis with the boys. There's a young group. I think he plays COD, so I don't really speak to him much after training. But no, I think, he's going to develop into, he has the potential to develop into a world-class winger, and he just needs to make sure he keeps doing, what he's doing, working hard on developing his game. Because, it was great for him on Saturday, but, more and more people will be taking notice of him. And like Shawnee said about making sure you're marking up Dupont, people will be marking up Rees-Zammit now. So yeah, it's going to be the challenge for him now, is to keep going and striving to improve. But he's a great boy, and he's been there's a group of those youngsters now. They're a good buzz around the camp. Yeah.
It's important as well. You mentioned Alan Wynne, but the senior players almost protect him or save him from himself, because particularly in Wales, where you carry the weight of a nation on your shoulders, you don't want to get too carried away as a young player, do you?
It is a goldfish bowl here in Wales, but I think we like to think as a group, a management, everyone really, we look after our own, and if someone needs to be brought down a peg or two, they will be, or someone needs to be, as we say in Wales, coached in and looked after. We'll do that. So it's important for everyone really that we make sure that we identify who needs support when the time comes. But I'm sure Zammo won't have any problems. He seems to have a good head on him.
Seán, it's the way of the world that you have a blinding Saturday, and then the next day everybody's talking about you as a starter for the Lions. Is that premature?
I don't think it's premature, to be fair. I think it's not just out of blue like that. This new talent has come to fruition. It's something, I suppose, he's really announced himself with what he's done on an individual basis at the weekend. Just a piece of brilliance. But I think his name has been in the pot already. And for someone like that to go over there, to go wherever the Lions is going to be now, he'll have no fear, and they're just deadly natural rugby players. As Foxy just said there, he'll grow in confidence now as he goes through this Six Nations, and I think you'll see probably a different person developing, a different player developing when he comes out the back end of it, and that'll only be good if he is on the Lions, come the summer.
So assuming that there is a Lions, Foxy, we'll start with you. Who would be your back three as things stand?
I don't know. Zammo is obviously playing really, really well at the moment, but I think Anthony Watson looked good on Saturday for England. Johnny May's been playing really well. Like that finish was pretty special for that try. It was like a rugby league finish. You got Hoggy, we've got Josh Adams, who's going to come back and play, hopefully. being very politically, I'm not naming 3, I'm naming 30. So I probably...
And you've missed out some key Welshmen as well.
Yeah,
You've named a couple, but you've missed out.
Let's go, at the moment, Anthony Watson, Zammo, and we'll go Hoggy fullback.
Yeah, I'd probably go definitely Hogg at fullback at the minute. I would go with Johnny May, just because he's improving as a player all the time as well. Even though he's a little bit older now, I think he's just so dangerous when he gets the right ball. Who else?
Well, you could take a Van der Merwe. You could take a Duhan Van der Merwe back to his, his home nation of South Africa.
To be fair, someone like that out there as well. Jesus, he's so strong. He's a hard man to handle. But someone like him, could be a late bolter to start as well. Because he's playing pretty good stuff. But again, Anthony Watson is finding a bit of form.
Yeah.
And he's proven himself on that stage already. So someone like him, if he has a good run now and keeps going the way he's going as well, it'll probably cement his place down. So I go with a bit more probably experience there, starting on the wings and a fullback.
Let's move on, because sport is made up of highs and lows, and we saw that at Twickenham at the weekend. Jack Willis scores a try for his country. Minutes later, he's then stretchered off. The noise when he went to ground was horrendous. The severity of the injury is still being looked into. But let's talk about the cause. Seán, we hear about this crocodile roll. Just explain to us, what is a crocodile roll?
The crocodile roll is when someone's in a poach position, the poacher, so if I do it with my hands, he's in that position, and I hit him here, but he doesn't move. And then what happens is I'll move my chest to his towards his bum, wrap my arms around him here, and then roll him this way. And the problem with that is if someone's coming in to hit him as well, like a double clean, his legs are still planted in the ground. And, that's unfortunately, what's happened. And, it's a tough one, because the poacher in that position, Jack, let's say, he wants to hold on for dear life. But at times in that situation, you just have, if the ref doesn't give it to you initially at the minute, that's why we brought in this new rule of showing the ref that you're trying to lift the ball, because if he sees you trying to lift the ball, that is a penalty to you. That's the way it's meant to be. But slowly over the past couple of weeks and months, it's gone more into surviving the clean out as well as trying to lift the ball. So it's kind of gone back a little bit in terms of the way it's been reffed, I think. And for sure, if I was in that position, I'd probably known my age and the risks attached to it, you not that you give up on it early, but if you're locked on and the referee isn't giving you something after 2, 3, 4 seconds, it's a dead ruck. Like, something's gonna give, or someone. I always say it's the second person into the breakdown that gets the free shot at you, and especially when you're locked on. So it's a difficult one and a nasty injury, obviously. For Jack again, like that's his second time doing his cruciate, and what a player he is, and but he'll be back better than ever, please God, and we wish him all the best. Yeah. But not ideal, and I do think the referees need to really have a look at that lifting the ball again out of breakdown, because if someone tries to lift it, and okay, there's fine margins where you don't survive it, and someone as you're lifting it, someone's cleaning you out, that's fine. But if you're there and you're actually pulling your arms, like, they have to start rewarding people and taking that element of danger out of it for the poacher, because it is a specialised thing to do, to poach, and you're in a very vulnerable position.
Yeah, actually, Sebastian Negri put a tweet out afterwards saying how sorry he was to just have been part of it, but no blame as such. But should it be banned, Seán, or does it need to be looked at?
I don't know if that part of it needs to be banned. I think just I think a lot of it will actually fall on the referee and the interpretation of, is he on the ball? Has he tried to lift it? And if he has tried to lift it, reward him. And I mean, now there's milliseconds sometimes in a clean out and someone like lifting the ball, but if it's a very visible lift off the ground and the player on the ground hasn't released, well, that's a penalty.
So I just think they need to be a lot sharper around that area, and it might make the game a lot more exciting as well.
And away from the technicalities, let's just talk about the human element, Jonathan, because, you know, Jack Willis, young player, second really awful injury. You had an injury near the start of your career, didn't you? The start of your professional career. How much of it is it sort of, does it play on the mind? Will you make it? You know, can you come back from it?
I think it's just when I did mine, I did my first pre-season with the Scarlets, played a couple of games in pre-season, and that was in the August, and then in September I had the ACL reconstruction, and I think I was 18 at the time, and you know, that day after surgery is the furthest point from playing a rugby again, and it feels like a million miles away. But I think what you do get from having a serious injury at a young age is an appreciation for the game and how lucky you are to be able to do this as a job. And I think, you know, Jack's obviously been through it once, and he'll know exactly what's needed from him to get back to that level. You know, it's sometimes it feels unfair that it's you again. But it's making sure that you don't lose the focus of what, you know, really drives you to become an international or play at the highest level possible. So, you know, these are the dark days, as they say. But I'm sure after surgery, every day he's getting better towards getting fit. You know, I think in camp last week we had young Josh McLeod, named to start on the weekend, and he's gone from his highest career moment to date to half an hour tearing his Achilles in training. And, you know, it was heartbreaking for him. But you know that the type of character Josh is, you know, he's going to bounce back, and, you know, he will get his cap eventually. But it would have been a process of, you know, lots of rehab and hard work. And he'd probably feel that it's not deserved more, but it'll feel a lot more better when he finally gets it. And you know, it's the worst part of the game. I've always said it is the injuries, and but with the right people around you, you know, you can make sure that you know, you bounce back. You know, I think, you know, Shawnee's had long-term injuries as well as I have, and it is the hardest part, isn't it?
Yeah, you always have the couple of days to assess where you are as a player. I've always said, though, genuinely, and I feel this as well, every time I've had a major injury, I've come back better. And like, that's, yeah, some of us down to how stubborn I might be and everything else like that. But there is opportunity. So Jack will 100%, knowing, I suppose, the little bit about him and the way he goes about his work, he'll come back better and stronger after this. And as Foxy says, once he has an op or whatever the process is and the timeline that's on it, you kind of switch back in as a professional athlete, and you say, right, every day now, how do I get better to get back on the field, whether it be 4, 5, 6, 9 months, whatever it is. Cruciates are 9 now, 10 months, some of them. So Dan Levy's been through it, for instance. Ed Byrne, another Leinster player who I've seen grinding in the gym for over 2 years of rehab he had to get back from a knee injury, and like there he is playing with Ireland at the weekend and flying around the place. So, you know, resilience is a great thing to have in your mind. And you know, as professional rugby players, I do think as well, people do not understand what our bodies go through. And it's great for fans and it's great for people looking at home. But, like, your body does go through the mill as a rugby player, obviously, first and foremost. But mentally then as well, with these big things that happen in your career, big injuries, it does take a lot out of you as well. So it takes a while to get everything back going the right direction. But you know, again though, Jack will be back better than ever, hopefully.
Yeah, and Jonathan, it's easy to focus maybe on, you know, a Jack Willis, even you guys, a Dan Lydiate, and sort of just see these negatives of injuries. But there was a really nice story last week that Ellis Jenkins, after over 2 years out, came back, played, albeit in a friendly, but 40 minutes, scored a try against the Ospreys, and is very much back in contention. And that must give hope to other people, because his injury was terrible and he had so many setbacks along the way.
Yeah, and I think he had a few surgeries as well. So not just the one surgery through that whole process. And I think one of the boys in camp said it was like over 800 days Ellis had been out for, and it's great news for him to, great to see him come back on the field, and he will, his knee had probably felt good after the game, but it's probably everything else in his body was hurting. But no, I think for him now it's the process of just slowly building up the match fitness and getting used to the load again, because I think whenever you come back from a long-term injury, it's the other parts of your bodies that get a little bit niggly when you getting used to contact again. And yeah, it's just great to see him back playing, and it's it's a positive story from such a horrific injury he had. So it's been it's been very well received, especially here in Wales.
So let's welcome Jerome back to the conversation. And Jerome, you had some injuries near the start of your career. 2007, you were forced to miss the Rugby World Cup. That must have been a really tough time for you.
Yeah, it was tough. I really set 2007 World Cup as a target to make, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. But I had to really look at myself and think, if I was really fit, could I have got past the guys that were in that team? And there was some talent in the loose forwards in that team. There was Chris Masoi, Sione Lawaki, Jerry Collins, Rodney Soalo. So I had to be realistic about everything, and that gave me comfort to go back to the drawing board and work pretty hard. And during the World Cup and Super Rugby, I did, and I was lucky enough 2008 to get back into the squad. So it's tough times when you're under that injury cloud, but if you got the right support system around you and set right targets, you should be good.
But a couple of World Cups and over 80 caps for the All Blacks later. I don't think you've done too badly. You now find yourself in the south of France with your family. How much have you enjoyed your time at Toulouse?
I'm loving it. When I was in New Zealand, I heard mixed stories about France and varying experiences, but what I've experienced here, it's been awesome. The club have been amazing. Toulouse as a town, it's awesome. It's close to Spain, close to the beaches. It's great for the family. So I've thoroughly enjoyed it. The only thing that I need to do is pick up on my French, and then I'm good.
I was just going to ask you, how actually fluent are you now after 2 years? Or 3 years nearly in France.
The word fluent isn't in the sentence. I'm struggling, but improving. I'm getting a bit better, but it's definitely
they appreciate
a tough language.
They appreciate when you give it a go, don't they?
Yeah.
I find after a couple of beers, or demis as they call them, they you start to get a bit looser of the tongue.
Yeah.
And I think you said to me once before that your wife's family had French roots, and I like when you see your kids doing their homework in French and chatting away. So I imagine like the family just gang up on you. They go off and speak French, and you're standing there confused about what's going on.
So my wife's grandma's from Rouen. It's up in Normandy.
Yeah, Normandy. Yeah.
But my wife grew up in New Zealand, so she doesn't speak French.
Okay.
So she's on the same boat as me. But my daughter, she's picking it up real quick. So I've got to try and challenge myself to one up her.
It's a pretty cool experience, in fairness, as well, for like your family. Like I've often thought about that as well, for families, like kids coming over, learning a different language, going back to New Zealand at some point, and having that second language from your experience. And like, it's a pretty cool thing to say you've done in your life as well, especially when you're like, your daughter or son is in their teens and they want to go back eventually. Like they'll pick it up. It's like riding a bike again, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we lived in Japan a couple of years ago, but my kids are too young to remember a majority of it. But it's great at the moment that they're at great ages to be able to experience the culture and learn the language, which is awesome. And so you're right. It's perfect for the kids to be able to just learn a different culture, learn different language, and fingers crossed they all learn French. Don't learn as slow as their dad.
It's a great part of France as well, isn't it? It's just wonderful. And it's a huge honour from your point of view to come into a club with such history like Toulouse and be leading them out on a weekend. I mean, that not many people get that opportunity.
Yeah, I was blown away when they asked me to replace Julien Marchand when he got injured. One, because I wasn't fluent in French, but also just the history, like you said, when you first step into the training centre, the history of all the top 14 championships, the Champions Cup, Heineken Cup championships are all up on the wall. So you're not too far away of about learning about the club. So for me, I was taken aback, but definitely a huge honour.
You mentioned the Champions Cup. I know the real lure for you was to try and get your hands on a Champions Cup, and just it's been a sort of troubled last 12 months, and you came so close other years. What an incredible side you have, though. Could this be your year?
We're slowly building towards competing for it. For us, the top 14's taking up a lot of the focus, but definitely one eye on wherever the Champions Cup takes off next. But yeah, I'd love to be able to compete in a final or a semi-final again for the Champions Cup. And growing up in New Zealand, you always watch the semi-finals of the Heineken Cups, and so I'm well aware of how prestigious it is and how hard it is to win. So yeah, to be involved in it, it's quite an honour. It's definitely one that we're targeting.
I know you always said that this was going to be your last season, that you were going to stop at the end of this season. But I just wonder, with maybe a little less rugby last year, if you've got a few miles still to put on the clock, what are your thoughts? Are you going to play on?
No, 100%. This is my last season.
That's a definite no.
Yeah.
Tom Brady can do it. Jerome, you can do it too.
Tom Brady just stands there and throws the ball.
It's time for you to move position.
He does a lot more than that. No, if I show you a clip of what I do at training, it's you guys will laugh. But no, the game's getting too fast, and these younger kids are just getting to another level. So when you know, you know.
So Jerome, will you be sticking around France for a couple of years, or are you going to head straight home?
I'm planning on sticking on here in Toulouse, and I'd love to work with the Espoirs here, the academy. I thought the game's given me so much, and I'd love to give back in some way, and whether it's through the next generation or the younger guys. And I think it'd be a great challenge and a great learning process for me to be able to hop on the other side of the rugby fence and learn how to coach.
And the big plus to that, Jerome, is you still get your samage, doesn't it? You still get the cash is king over there as well.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how that works, but yeah.
I'm sure your accountant will know.
Jerome, just to give you some context, we are now, I think, on programme 12 or show 12 in season 3, and there is not a show where Seán does not bring either the England match fee or some French money or some sort of like rugby financial scam into this.
Well, it's all a bit of crack. The English match fee is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion.
Crazy.
Anyway.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
I don't know what do the New Zealand boys get, Jerome? Or is it just their central contracts?
No, we get 7,500 a week.
Yeah. Assembly fee.
That's
what's that in pounds, guys? Use that went to school.
Peanuts.
£4,000.
4,000.
That's nice for a week.
So Jerome, we were talking earlier about Louis Rees-Zammit, and there's he's rose to stardom this week after his try against Scotland the weekend. Just trying to compare him to someone like you play with, like Cheslin Colby. Like, what's he like to play with? Because he's an unbelievable winger as well, I have to say.
Yeah, Cheslin's like Antoine Dupont as well. He just creates something from nothing, and someone's so small, and he's pretty strong. He's deceptively strong for his size, And obviously, you guys see his step and how rapid he is. So, no, he's incredible to play with. And also the Rees-Zammit, he's going good guns at the moment. We had to do a lot of analysis on him last year with the Champions Cup when we were coming up against Gloucester. So we had to make sure that we weren't kicking the ball to him and giving him space.
Yeah, Cheslam's got a hell of a step. You said, I think we played him in the stadium, and I think it was one of his first few caps, and I think tried tackling him 5 times. I didn't touch him once. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like you said, so dynamic, and he's taken the world by storm, and especially in the World Cup, he was unbelievable.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing with him as well, because I remember that Toulouse game in the Viva, was it, or in your place, Jerome? I think it was the first breakdown of the game out wide, and I was like nesting over the ball, and like he came from. It was like, honestly, it was like something out of a movie. It was like Batman had just. He was only 2 meters away from the breakdown, but he came so fast and hit me so hard, and I was like, I kind of half looked up and went, "Are you serious?" And this little fella, but he was like, he whacked
solid.
me. Yeah, he whacked me, and I was like, right, I'll have my eye on you for the rest of the game. Because there's nothing a forward hates more than a little back turning him upside down on a counter rope. So, but yeah, he's a phenomenal player, and such an exciting player to watch as well. And like when I'm not obviously playing against him or anything, it's great to watch someone like that.
I'm just glad he's on my side.
And speaking of great players, Jerome, tell us some of the best players who you've played alongside and some of the best players that you've played against.
The best, probably Richie McCaw or Dan Carter that I've played with. Best players that I've played against, Skulk Berger, Brian O'Driscoll, Sean O'Brien. And someone that I've played against a heap of times is Brian Habana. He'd be up there as probably one of the best players that I played against.
Yeah, I tell you, I was very intrigued to hear this because I know everyone talks about McCaw, and obviously I've had a few battles with him over the years too, and he's the most relentless rugby player I've ever come across. But like in the environment, what made him so special? Like what was he like day to day? Was it all rugby? I've heard like he's quite intense, obviously, and it was all about the team and all about the work, and never took his eye off the ball like as such. But like, what way is he then in the environment? Is he an enjoyable fella to be around? Or is he is it all just work like and no relax?
He's a good man to be around. Obviously, when you're a younger kid coming in the environment, you're a little bit standoffish and you don't want to approach him too much. But like I was lucky enough to play alongside him for a few years, and he could relax when it's time to relax, but when it's time to switch on, I think the majority of the time he was about rugby, because I think he took that role as captain and the spearhead of the team to the next level. I think he tried to take it all on him, and I think that's, as a byproduct of that, he was so focused majority of the time. But a lot of the team dinners, he could relax and easy to chat to. Could have a beer with him after the game. But,
I bet he didn't forget where his flat was, Shawnee.
Huh?
I bet he didn't forget where he lived, like Shawnee said earlier.
Yeah, but no, I don't think that would go down too well probably in New Zealand. As in that's what Jerome's saying. He's like the spearhead, but I wonder, has he ever like, I'd say he's never fucked up in his life in terms of like in terms of making any mistakes while he was in that role. That's what I mean. He was so like, he's never switched off, I'd say. But like, fair play to him obviously, but that's and he was always a good fella to have a chat with after a match as well, and in fairness, you know, he'd give you time. But I always wondered what he was like day to day, because I don't know, I'm kind of, when it comes to rugby training, for me personally, I switch on, but when I'm not on the field, around the gym and environment, I'm kind of a bit of a messer. But maybe that's why he's a few World Cups and I've none.
Yeah, and he's obviously still got an intensity, because you just have to look at his Instagram and things, and he's doing like ultra marathons and ultra triathlons and things,
He's
coast
crazy.
to coast.
Mate, I won't be running more than 400 meters when I retire.
Yeah.
You do you think, Jerome, you'll lose a bit of weight, or do you think you'll put on a few kegs?
Mate, I struggle to keep the weight on, so
Yeah.
I probably look skinnier, but probably with a beer belly.
Sounds a good balance, that.
Yeah,
A dad bod look.
yeah, dad bod, a real dad bod.
Real dad bod.
Jerome, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks so much for your time. Best of luck with everything that's to come.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Joe.
Gents, thanks very much for your time, and thank you very much to you at home for watching, for listening. That's all we've got time for, but we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
You've been watching The House of Rugby Season 3 on Joe.